there. But welcome everyone, glad to see you're all here. Hello Fixture Jake, Fishing Dev, Fuel Snable, Link Slumps, Rambling Geek, and S&B. Hello, greetings, welcome everyone. If you are new here, that is not my normal intro with the white screen and the craziness. That was just an OBS issue. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Brendan, this channel is DevChatter, and together we are going to write some code, as is our normal thing here on the stream. Let's see. I'll give a quick little intro about what we do here. First off, this stream is a live coding stream. We stream 4 times a week on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Obviously, I do this during the daytime where I am. I'm in Eastern time, so it is 2 p.m. here. It's a fairly nice Monday. Pretty reasonable weather. Pretty nice here right now. Nice spring weather. So we've had a bunch of rain, but it is nice and sunny and warm out, so that's always pleasant. Let's see. I'm planning on working on our DevStreams site today. If you are not familiar with that, if you're new, first off, welcome. The project that we are working on is a community site. Also, hey Katrina, welcome. I don't know if I said hi, but I just noticed you in the chat there. So, the project is a community website. It's built in ASP.NET Core. It is obviously, as a website, going to have a reasonable amount of JavaScript. The JavaScript that we are using is, well, I should say we're using modern JavaScript, so we have all the fancy bits in it, which is nice. S&B. Let me just answer your question by lifting this up here, and you can see that it kind of sort of says orange vanilla when I get that in the right spot. So, I'm going to drink my second can of this, and we'll see if it's still as good as it was the first time. I was pleasantly surprised. It's got a nice, I guess the thing I like about the drink is that it's actually, like, it reminds you of summer, so as it gets warmer, it's kind of nice. Sadly, again, still not sponsored. I mean, I'd rather have the Pepsi sponsorship, but hey, you know, like, at least for the orange vanilla, I'll give them that. Pretty good. Yes, S&B. I do hope it makes it over. I'd actually heard about it from some other people previously, and it sounded interesting. Yeah, Link Slumps. Isn't that weird? Like, it seriously tastes like the orange creamsicle, like popsicle that you can get in summer. It really does taste like that. I'm kind of surprised. I've heard that it's not as good with food, so if you're just gonna have a drink and not with a meal, I definitely think it is good, but I've heard that if you're eating other stuff, the orange vanilla flavor doesn't always go well with food, but who knows? It's something to try at some point. Alright, so let's talk about this project. I'm going to show it to everybody as we dive into this. We will cut that intro short there and not continue on much further down that route. Let's take a look. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, we work on projects that we find interesting here on the stream. Most of them are open source. As such, you can find all of the source code for the projects we work on the stream here, for the most part, over at GitHub at github.com/devchatter. Link over in the chat as well as down below the stream. And if you are interested in chatting with me or any of the other DevChatter viewers outside of the stream, the best place to do that is our Discord. I am not kidding when I tell you it is a really great community over there, super nice people. It's not going to like fill in for Stack Overflow. For that, we recommend Stack Overflow. But if you want to have discussions about stuff or, talk through something with someone, is a fantastic spot for that. We have a really great group. People will help you track down stuff every once in a while that's going on, but really, really nice place. How is programming on Windows nowadays compared to Linux? Mostly focused on embedded development. Most of the time, what we're talking about anymore on Windows development for most Windows devs is going to be .NET Core. It is basically the new lightweight... I'm going to use a word that Microsoft would probably not like me to use for it. I'm going to say replacement for .NET Framework. It is lightweight, it's cross-platform. Hang on one second, everyone. I need to click a couple of buttons real fast. What do I Do I not have buttons for... Oh, yes, I do. Okay, sorry about that. Yes, the comment from Rambling Geek. I agree. Most of us think of .NET Core as a replacement to .NET Framework. They are alongside each other. .NET Framework is still getting updates, upgrades, bug fixes, everything like that. But the developer community will mostly tell you .NET Core is going to replace .NET Framework. It is a much better platform. So that is the big push on most of the Windows development world these days. As the fact that it does run on Linux, and it actually runs in a lot of different places, I will say that almost no matter what you're doing, if you are looking at Windows Dev, that is primarily what people are using these days. The performance that they've gotten out of .NET Core is actually fantastic, because it is essentially a rewritten from the ground up .NET framework that is intended to be lightweight, cross-platform, etc. So as such, they made it very, very fast, and well, it's nice. It's the easy way of saying it. It's essentially what all of us wanted over the years. Fixture Jake, so far I am a fan of VS 2019. I have not had any problems with it, really. The main thing of interest is the new project screen. I really am glad they finally gave this an upgrade, and I like the way they did it. So essentially the idea is being, instead of having that tree view that we were used to in the old version, where you'd have the tree view on the left trying to find the project type you wanted to create, instead what we have is this. You can choose, to filter based on things like language, but you don't necessarily even need to, because most of the time you're just going to search for class library, which again, they had searching in the previous model, but this really is just like streamlined and set up for us. So there's no distractions, it's just, no, this is search. So when I search for class library, I'm offered .NET Standard, .NET Framework, and .NET Core. The other thing I like about this is they have been really, really good about making sure that the you almost fall into the, it's kind of like what you want in a search engine. The I'm feeling lucky button that Google always had, they wanted that to work. So when we look at this, the first choice when I search for class library is .NET Standard. Now I haven't tested this with all searches, but most of the ones I've done, the top choice it comes back with is the one I want. So most of the time, if you're going to make a class library, there's very little reason to make the .NET Framework or .NET Core choice. You usually want .NET Standard. So they're pretty good about that stuff. Notice you do have to check language if you are someone that uses, say, F# or Visual Basic or something along those lines. You do need to make sure that you've chosen the correct one there, but otherwise it's pretty darn obvious which one you need. You could also filter based on platform, so if you knew that you were doing stuff that needed to be on Linux and you searched for class library, the .NET full framework stuff is gone and you're left only with .NET Standard and .NET Core. So that is the nice stuff that they've put in here. And obviously if I knew I was doing C#, I can filter down and I have only those options then. So it's pretty nice. There's only two choices, and I probably want .NET Standard. No, link slump. So I need to go redo a thing that I did a long time ago. That is a fantastic question. Wow. Might have been like 10 months ago, it was a long time ago in the stream. A lot of people kept asking me what the difference was between .NET Core, .NET Full Framework, and .NET Standard, and I am going to remake a video. So I'm going to go and actually make a video out of that. So instead of just explaining it on a stream, so I actually explained it twice on my live stream here at the beginning of some videos. So you can actually probably find those by searching my YouTube channel. But I do actually want to make a video, because that actually was the original plan for this stream, was to do both streamed content as well as pre-recorded stuff. I haven't done the pre-recorded stuff. That was... So I originally planned a DevChatter back in 2015. I'm not kidding. It really was that long ago. That's when this all started. This plan to build this stream and engage the community in this way. But I was intending on doing both streaming and pre-recorded content, which I didn't get into. But anyway, so standard, as Rambling Geek mentions, you can think of it a few ways. So Rambling Geek says a spec, which I would describe it the same way, except I like to put it in an analogy that a C# developer is going to understand implicitly. And the reason I just said the word implicitly is also to follow along in that same analogy. The idea here is that if you think of .NET Standard as an interface, then .NET Core and .NET Framework are implementations of that interface. So essentially what they did is they created .NET Core and .NET Framework and said, here's where they match up. We're going to essentially extract out an interface and call that .NET Standard. And that, so my story of how it's created, that's not really how they created it, but that, like, you can think of it that way. And then .NET Standard, you then say, I'm going to depend on .NET Standard for my class library. And that's usually where you want to use .NET Standard, is your class library. By depending on .NET Standard, what you're doing is you're saying, my code will work on either .NET Core or .NET Framework. I'm working on only the subset where they agree. And so if you run my class library in a .NET Core environment, whether it's Windows, Linux, Mac, doesn't matter, it'll work. Or if you run it on .NET Full Framework, it will work. So remember, because of the fact that it is a class library and not an executable itself, at runtime, it's either going to be running in a .NET Core program or a .NET Framework program, one or the other. But the class library itself does not have a dependency on one or the other if you targeted .NET Standard. So that's the way I usually like to explain it. Because C# developers, even if they don't know have a complete conception of interfaces, we at least can generally depend on a C# developer generally knowing how they work. So that's why I like to explain it that way. So hopefully that helps someone. If .NET Standard, .NET Core, .NET Framework still isn't all that clear, I will be adding a video at some point that explains that a little bit further. Feel free to ask questions still, though. I'm not pushing back on questions. I'm always open to that. Let me read through chat because I missed a whole bunch while I was explaining that. Let's see. It's working with languages. .NET Core has a proper AVX support. Do you need? Gotta be honest. I'm more than used to the .NET new XXX. Yes. So as Simon mentions, there's a really nice command line that came with .NET Core that makes it super nice to do things. Still can't decide to set up a dual boot with Linux. Yeah, so I used to dual boot with Linux and Windows on my computers quite regularly. In fact, I actually used to use Linux as my primary OS. Has been a while since I have, though. So standard, I think I kind of answered the question that Link Slumps got there, which is standard is really that you're not depending on core or framework. Yeah, as Rambling Geek said, weird function. Performance case. Hang on, did I miss anything else in chat? I don't think so. So basically go standard unless you have a legitimate reason not to. Yeah, as Simon mentions, you choose standard unless you have a reason not to. There's one other catch there that a lot of people aren't thinking about where you're going to use .NET Core. So quick explanation. So let's look at our project here and I will show you how they're set up. So if we look at our web project, this is the actual executing program. You'll see that it is running .NET Core 2.2. As soon as .NET Core 3 is available, we'll be switching to that. But if you take a look at our class library, you'll see that it's running Net Standard 2. The idea being that our class library doesn't need to depend on .NET Core or .NET Framework, so we could leverage it elsewhere. And you might ask, but Brendan, realistically, are you going to put it somewhere else? And the short answer is, maybe, I don't know, but I would rather not pick up that extra dependency if I don't need to. And let me explain a circumstance where that might come up. There are a reasonable number of libraries that are still .NET Framework only, where the creator of the library has not adapted that to it. And again, now playing devil's advocate, you might say, but Brendan, realistically, are you going to switch your web project over to .NET Full Framework just to support some library? No, I'm not. However, I might add an extra executable to our solution, some other program that runs. Maybe that program is going to run as like, a service running in a cloud somewhere. Maybe it's going to be an alternate web application. Maybe I'm going to have a separate web API because someone has this really great library that does something that requires .NET Full Framework, so I build a subdomain of our website that runs that so that we can handle that case. So those kinds of circumstances do come up. So if you work in a large system, in a large company, you'll often need to share a library between more than one executing program, and .NET Standard lets you do that across that line. So here's the reason why I wanted to get everyone's attention. If you were paying attention a moment ago, I apologize for taking that long to get to it. This is where you might not think about it. This is the other program where you have to choose, and you're not going to choose .NET Standard. That is your testing projects. So this is the test client little program that S&B set up. This one is running as a .NET Core app, and so is the web project. So you have lots of little things that also get .NET Core and are not .NET Standard. Again, the next one that we look at is this one. If we open up the unit test project, again, .NET Core app. So remember, we said the default's .NET Standard, but you're going to end up with a lot of choices that are .NET Core. And the funny thing being that if I really were writing our unit test project to only check the core, if I kept that separate, I could have a unit testing project running in both .NET Core and .NET Full Framework. In fact, if you are someone that maintains an open source library for a different project, for like consumption, and you're expecting to target .NET Standard, I'd almost recommend that you create 2 instances of your unit test project, for example, or your testing project or anything like that, one that's core and one that's full framework, and you could even set it up so that they're in the same folder using the same files, probably. And if you do that, might be a little weird, I don't know how wonky that would get, but if you did, and you really were targeting .NET Standard, you might be able to write a little thing that just, ran the tests in both environments, so you could get away with that. So that's the thing you got to remember. If it's executing, you have to have chosen .NET Core or Full Framework. But if it doesn't, it's a class library. You can target Standard. Fuel stable? No, yeah, you really could. Yeah, so Ace Flames here. At some point, we probably will talk about building microservices applications. They're that gets into the complexity level. It's probably what we're beyond what we're going to build on stream most of the time, just because we have to be able to do it in split up segments where we do a bit of coding here and there and some discussion, and it's there's the commit and don't come back for 2 days until you work on it again, only a couple of hours at a time. So complex and larger projects tend to be a little bit more difficult to do on a stream. But yep. Yeah, we could absolutely just take a project, explain it, and go through it at some point. That is totally a thing, Ace Flames here. Simon, you removed Ubuntu's dual boot from your Service Pro as it breaks hibernating in Windows. Well, that doesn't surprise me that much because hibernating in Windows does some weird stuff. Yep, dual booting with Linux is great. Yeah, no, it really is a great solution. I just haven't run Linux in a while on mine. So, okay, cool. Isn't that a bit like testing your SQL statement on more than one database? Surely you only need to match your test project to your main project. So, Simon, I'm talking about for open source libraries, and the reason I specify that is that it is not uncommon to, in an open source library, to end up having to actually do a preprocessor check on which, whether you're running on .NET Core or .NET Framework. And if you have done one of those and have code that needs to run in one place or the other, because I have heard of a few people that have had to do that. In fact, I've had to do that on a project before. And when you do, it's important that you make sure that your unit tests are running in both cases. So my intention with suggesting that you just try to get away with a separate project file for each one instead of doing a full new suite of tests is just confirm that it works. So yes, Simon, the idea is just make sure it works in both environments, since you are going to support both. Just the basic unit tests. I'm not saying like go and run like this full suite of tests for weeks, but yes. Yeah, exactly, Simon. There is no main project. Yes, precisely. It's if you're just a library. So if your library just does some stuff, you might do something in Net Core because you know it's fast in Net Core, but not want to do it in full framework because it isn't. Just because of the differences in the libraries. Okay, so jumping into this project, let's take a look. First things first, let's start up the site. We're going to take a look. As I said, it's a web project. It's got some fun stuff in it. I know that we do have an impending pull request from one of our viewers that is going to add some additional instructions, hopefully, for other people that want to... yes, exactly. Hey, see, he chimed in with... I don't call people out. I call people out when they talk in chat. So, also, pro tip for anyone, if you don't want me to call you out, don't type in chat, but I will limit it only to the things that you say in chat for the most part. Because I know that some people don't want to get called out on a stream, even though we're a fairly friendly community, but, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, just don't type anything and I won't call you out. I mean, unless you I will probably, again, if you subscribe or something, I will thank you for that. If you follow, I'll thank you for that. Which reminds me, I'm on this screen, so I didn't shout out that follow that we got before, which I am gonna do. Watch Me Code. Well, first off, that is an awesome name. And second, welcome. Thanks for that follow. Much appreciated. Okay, so here's what we've got. Our website, as I mentioned at the beginning, is a website that is a community site for DevStreams. We want to make it easier for people to find the dev streams that they are interested in watching, and I just had a thought. Rambling Geek coming in with the tier 1 sub, the second month in a row. Yay, and welcome back into the crew. Glad that you're sticking around with us. Wait, what? Bot, what are you doing? I did start it, didn't I? Yeah, I definitely started it. Alright, so, gonna elevate that, that work on the bot plan, sometime soon. Because we've got a bug in the bot that we haven't bothered to track down. We're going to do that on stream some point. Just because I know that it is going to be valuable for people to see as we debug through stuff as a group. It is quite fun. So the annoying thing with the bot is when it does... So see, it will not restart because it hasn't actually died yet. So if I go and check on the server, it is still hanging in there because it has background processes that are running in order to interact with everything. And they take a minute to actually fully die. There it goes. So it does run as a website, but it does mean it has to actually let go of all of its resources before it lets go. So that means that I need to go in here and I'm going to restart that overlay. Rambling Geek, it didn't. You're, what? What the? Where's my hype? Oh, it's doing the thing again. It added that. What is going on with that? Okay. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with OBS, actually, because the bot is running again, but we're still having problems with the overlays. So I'm going to reconfigure my OBS sometime before the next stream. So pretend that a whole bunch of the Chattosauruses were hyping around the screen, Rambling Geek, and no idea. If anyone was here actually at the start of the stream, for some reason, one of the sources in OBS turned the screen white. I don't know. I just started turning on and off sources until it came up. So there's something wonky with my OBS, and I'm not going to bother restarting the stream to fix it, because aside from overlays, it seems to work fine. So, and overlays don't matter that much. Okay, so that's the project. Let's take a look at the issues here on GitHub, as this is a reasonable tracking of what is left to be done. I'm going to limit us down just to the MVP items. Let's see, view scheduled streams of a channel. Do we not have this? That merged in. Okay, I just didn't close the issue. I thought that was going to automatically close it, but apparently not. You win, GitHub. Yes, so we need to do a general security review, actually, of everything. So I'm going to try to get, I'm going to see if I can convince Bill Semf to help us on that one. Sadly, he's not going to be at Stir Trek. Speaking of which, if anyone here is going to be at Stir Trek, we are going to try to do a DevChatter meetup there. So hopefully we can get a lot of people together. Chattosaurus is yes, Chattosauri, or Chattosaurus is either one's fine. Styling the calendar page and curate the live channel. So we need to style the calendar page. I guess we can work on that, but I kind of want to make the Find Channels page a little bit nicer. I'm not super keen on how we do our tags here. So once I type it all, does that... Okay, hang on. Actually, there's an interesting bug I just noticed here that I think might be the case. If I just drop this down, it doesn't have any data until I've typed in here once. And then it has data. So I want to look at this and see if we can't make this work a little bit better. Fishing Dev, which thing are you looking forward to? The Star Trek thing or the styling of the calendar page? I mentioned two upcoming things that is possible that you meant. Index .cshtml on the channels page is the one that we were just looking at. So that is this multi-select here. It is a view component that we pulled in that does this job. So let's take a look. We're going to check the documentation, see if it has a way to do the initial population of that data, or whether we just need to fill it ourselves, which we can just fill it ourselves. So it should be this one. Yeah, see, so when I clicked that, it opened up immediately. So their data's already in there. Yep, this is the one we're using. Highlighted option doesn't. Searchable. No, we want it searchable. So it might be that we just have to do the initial data load of it. Yeah, so we do a multi-select one. Essentially, I'm planning on using the same binding collection for this as we do for another mechanism for picking them. So I think all we have to do is just make sure that we have loaded this data right off the bat. So let's do that. So we're going to jump into the JS file, which is right here. So, hello, Ryan Roberts. Welcome, greetings. Nice to hear, Fishing Dev. Yeah, should be a good bunch of people down at Stir Trek. There will be there will be 3 other of the live coders stream team there at minimum, because there's at least going to be Carrie, Ed, and Ardalis should be down there, so that should be quite fun. Rambling Geek, I've been asked that many times. The short answer to that is because Vue is awesome. The longer answer to that is we actually looked at Angular, Vue, and React before we ended up selecting Vue, and the thing that we think is most awesome about it is actually the learning curve and design paradigm behind it. So first off, welcome Ryan Roberts, thanks for that follow, much appreciated. So back to I will talk to you again in a second, Ryan, but Rambling Geek, the second part of your question there is that when we were choosing one, we knew that we wanted to use a framework that we could easily drop into existing projects that might not be a SPA application. So that, for the most part, rules out Angular and leaves us with the choice of Vue and React. And when looking at the learning curves and the ramp-up time that it takes for someone to get started with Vue over React, we thought it looked a lot better to go with Vue. So most of the people here, we were kind of on board with like, yeah, let's use Vue, it looks great. And so far we haven't had a lot of, like, I think most of the people watching, and if this is wrong, tell me, but most people seem to have gotten the Vue aspect. Simon, yes, we do need a yVue, like, command, which, speaking of which, if someone clips my explanation right there, that would get us our yVue command to just be a link to that. So, Ryan, you are taking a course, an intro course in computer science at your college, and you love it, you're nervous about it, whether or not you're cut out for it. First off, don't let that be the reason that you don't go further into dev. We are all nervous and question our own abilities all the time. That's actually very common. Coding is hard. You're trying to get your code to run for C++ and VS Code. Oh, you can absolutely do that. You just need to make sure that you have a C++ compiler, and you should be able to run it. So you'll need one separate because there's not going to be a compiler built into VS Code for that. It was because Angular is not that plug and play. Yeah, funny thing, Simon is correct. That is one of the reasons. You understand the basic concept of ifs, whiles, for, vars, functions, but you need to get clear on classes. Oh, yeah, no. That is actually an awesome set. That will actually get you most of the way. But yes, you definitely need to understand object-oriented programming if you're going to be working in C++ or any language like it. There's a front-end dev that uses all three of the main frameworks for separate stuff on Twitch. Vue, Angular, not sure what the other is. Link Slumps, is it not React? Maybe it's Aurelia? Greetings, Coated Beard, welcome. Based on your experience with React, not used to Vue, React has a curve. Yes, exactly, Rambling Geek. There's a big curve on React. The learning curve on Vue is actually pretty darn easy. If you have questions, though, feel free to chime in, because as I say, when I say this is easy, I mean relatively. Coding is not an easy thing. I don't want anybody to feel bad at all if you struggle with it. Coding is hard. Computer science is difficult. Actually had my C++ final this morning. Oh, Fixture Jake, I hope you did well. That's awesome. You have Sigwin, you have a command prompt, and you get booleans, and you plan on learning C++ this summer. Ryan, that's awesome. Yes. So I haven't used C++ in a while, so a lot of our code is going to look similar to it, because JavaScript syntax and C# syntax are going to look very similar to C++. So I think a lot of the code we do here on stream is going to make sense for the most part. Like, you're going to be able to read it, but there's definitely some concept differences in this. But great stuff, great stuff. Okay, so jumping back into this, and I apologize if I ever miss people's questions and things like that, just chime in and yell at me again about them. Okay, so, mounted, we fetch channels, but I want to make sure that we have fetched tags as well. So I think I might call a tag search. The filter is currently going to be an empty string, I think. Oh, tag search with filter, because it passes it. Okay, cool. So we'll just do that. Tag search So we're going to do that. So we're going to do an initial tag search when the application mounts. And I think that will make the page do what we want. Why is that red squiggling? Whoa! Why did it put a tab there? Well, I agree with the red squiggle. I don't know how we got a tab. That was very weird. We're going to refresh this page, and boom, there we go. Okay, so now that data set is there initially, so you don't have to do a search to drop this down and pick tags, right? So you can just go ahead and grab one, no extra work needed. The next thing I want to do is maybe show a set of popular tags. What happens when we pick these? Do we have suggested tags? Is that an option in here? Okay, so they have placeholder. Well, we could pre-select some tags, but I don't really want to do that. Let's try a couple of things. So I'm trying to make this. So we're working more on the user experience of this page rather than the design of the page necessarily. I want to make this a little bit more user-friendly, and essentially what I'm thinking is this. And I see stuff in chat. I'll catch up with you in a second. So right now we're listing the selected tags inside of this, inside of our control here that we're using, which I kind of like and I kind of don't like. I like it because it just makes it work, but what I don't like is that I don't have an easy way of showing extra information. So that's the real challenge I've got there. Living in a wheelchair, welcome. Living in a Wheelchair and Friends, I believe that was the name. Let me check on here and make sure I got that right. Yes, Living in a Wheelchair and Friends, welcome. Thanks for that raid. Hopefully you're all having a fantastic day. We need some hype here in the chat. I mean, I sort of am too, but that's just because I work too often in this same spot. So, welcome, greetings. Hopefully you had a fantastic stream. I think I waited long enough for you to actually be here and actually be able to hear me. I do like to talk to people when they raid me and find out what they were working on. Hello, friends. Greetings. What were you working on? What was your stream doing? Living in a wheelchair. I don't think I know your stream that well. And yes, as Michael says, greetings, friends. Okay, so I kind of want to change up that interface. So here's what I want to do. I will keep working on this while we wait for that response, which we may get. We'll see. So for now, let's just make a little div here. And what do we want to put in it? Ooh, do we put a list? We'll put in an unordered list of tags that we're going to, first off, give this a little bit of structure. And I'm not worried about styling or anything like that. We're just trying to get the data displaying first, and then we'll figure out the rest of it. So I'm going to do an li with a v4 on it. Which essentially is the way of saying I want to do a for each loop in Vue. So that's what the v-4 is. And this is one of the pieces that has the slightly higher learning curve in Vue, is knowing all of the bindings that are available to you, but you can get away with very, very few of them. So you don't need that many to get started. So this is one of the first, is just knowing that there is a for loop one, and that says essentially repeat this HTML element that I'm on. So essentially repeat the li for each one of the things that you specify. And I should write it correctly. I don't know why I derped that. I want to say tag in what did we call them? Where's the options? Hang on, I see stuff happening in chat. I will get to that in a second. For tags, and the binding is double curly braces, which should be familiar for a lot of people that are doing modern JavaScript frameworks, as that is a very common practice for that. And we're going to do tag.name. So tag and tags.name. This is going to look really ugly on the page because it is just going to load up a mass ton of tags. It's going to look god-awful. So just wait for that, and I'll check out chat while we do. Let's see. Your Q&A channel. Oh, that's awesome. You make tutorial videos for those living in wheelchairs with things like life hacks and wheelchair. That is really, really neat, actually. I would love to see what that channel is like. First off, my property name isn't named, so I'm going to fix that because I derped this. But then I am actually going to follow you on my other channel so I can check out when you're live, because that actually sounds really cool. So it's this channel here, which is currently hosting me. But then I am going to follow it over on my personal account, not on my DevChatter account, because that sounds cool. All right. What are some tips you would give for CS majors? Ryan. So my main thing would be for all CS majors. So I don't always recommend this for everybody that's in the business world, because I don't want people to burn out. But if you are learning computer science, learning computer programming, my best tip to you: find fun projects that you're interested in working on. Make friends with some of your classmates. Work on projects with them. So literally, the programming I did back when I was in college, we were always writing stuff outside of our normal courses. We learned so much by just doing stuff together. So we were always working on various things for some kind of project. The people I met doing that have been amazing. Some of the greatest developers, some of the things I have learned in my years came from just working on side projects with people that I otherwise never would have gotten to work with in my day job. So if you get that chance, absolutely do it. It is super, super awesome. Living in a wheelchair, your frontman Roger has ALS and he's a polymer scientist. Oh, that's nice. A lot of people come into our chat and ask questions about science. Oh, that's very, very cool. That is actually awesome. Yeah, have a great one. Thanks for stopping by, and welcome everyone. So we are obviously a live coding stream. We do mostly development here on the stream. A lot of web development, some client applications we've done before. We've done a little bit of casual game programming, and we do some programming exercises and things like that from time to time. So welcome, thanks for stopping by. My problem-solving skills are good for gaming projects. For data stuff, it sucks. Yeah, so Ryan, my biggest suggestion is when you're choosing a project to work on, because I do recommend working on side projects, choose something that you're interested in. So if you need to learn more about like standard application development instead of working on games, because that is, to be honest, less exciting. I agree, the game dev is way more fun, but some of the ways that you can make it exciting is tie it into something else you're interested in. So make the app be something that you would find useful in some context, and that is the suggestion I make for pretty much everybody, is if you want to find a project that you're actually going to work on, give it some other purpose. So build it because you want to use it. That's the best suggestion I can give you. And Simon's, go learn Git and write lots of code. Yeah, that's pretty much... I mean, you gotta learn Git and write lots of code in my suggestion too. We do have a and Ryan. I would also recommend joining our. Why? I'm gonna kill my bot. I don't know what it's doing. What is it even doing today? I don't even know. I know. Hey Rubik's, what's your shameless plug for? What shameless plug? Okay, so I created this list. I don't necessarily want that list to display the way that it is. So yeah, let's make these something. Do I make them anchor tags, or do I make them like buttons or something? It's a button, right? If we're gonna make them a button. Ooh, that styling is really nasty with the slate. And the page is really ugly this way. So we're gonna leave it like that. So these need some styling, so they're not gonna be buttons only because that looks terrible. There we go. So we want them to be sorted by the number of channels that have them. I think that's the key. We want them sorted by the number of channels that use this tag, and we want to show it. So I'm thinking like this. It's going to look wrong here, but I'm thinking that's the idea, is show how many channels use that tag. Now, we're not going to get it super great just yet. Rubik's, I don't know, I'll toss it in there and we'll see what it does. You want to toss that that one on there? Yeah, if we can get them all. That's kind of weird styling. Yeah, so link slumps. I was planning on only showing like the top 10 or something down here. Yeah. Oh yeah, that is something. No, because we want them to be grouped and like be side by side, so not in this big list like this. Although I guess we could put it in a sidebar or something like that, a collapsible sidebar or something. We'll see. For now, I'm going to leave them as just regular links, and we can maybe style that up nicer. Just so you know, Rubik's, you are welcome to send us a pull request at some point to help us out with some of these. First off, I'm going to do that, which I think will give me the... Yeah, so that'll just shortcut to give me that. We need to make this clickable and do something. I need that 100 to actually come from somewhere. So let's do that. And this 100 is going to be... Well, first off, let's shrink it down to 10 and make this be tag dot count. Okay, which doesn't have a value yet. Totally fine. Hey, await task. Welcome. Greetings. Also, Rubik's. I don't think I said welcome, but welcome. Because you did just show up recently. And Fuel Snable is saying something. Is explaining stuff to Ryan. Okay, cool. And the bot is back, and I will link to our Discord. That is the shameless plug right there. If anyone is interested, I do recommend you check out our Discord. And Rubik's, as you know, GitHub contains the source code to this project, and you could send us a pull request if you want to help us style this a little bit nicer. So we're going to add in that list and take a look at what it looks like. So those values there, we need to get tag count onto that object. So in order to do that, we need to actually pull that back as our data. So for now, we're calling API tags and filtering by a filter value. So this is not yet using our GraphQL endpoint, which we could switch to, but I'm not going to in this commit, because I primarily want to just make sure that we get back the right data. So what are we doing? We're doing tag search service find tag model. So interesting. So we pass back a tag view model that we create from a tag model. Does our tag model actually have the... No, it doesn't. It just has those. So because we created it from that, the tag view model doesn't really get us very much. what I want it to have is this. Just do count, maybe. Count on the number that use it. Okay, so we will do that. That ought to work. The next thing that we need to do is adjust this method. Tag search service. Okay, so that does a standard get on those. Because we built this as just passing in an additional essentially filter onto a standard call to get that data. List async of tags. So this is leveraging simple CRUD to get that. How do we handle queries that are joins? Link slumps, we can pull them out however we want. Because this is, so the way that Dapper works is, first off, it's a micro ORM, and what it does is it basically just does the actual mapping of SQL data into our objects. So it does not come with a lot of overhead, and that's actually one of the things that makes it nice and quick, is that it just goes straight to the data. Now, there are some basic helpers that do the very minimal structure building, like what the getListAsync does here, is it creates the basic select tag for this. And we have specified to it that we want to add in this where clause and this argument, and that's essentially what it'll do. So we are passing it in what it calls string conditions. The challenge with taking this approach is then this won't pull us additional data. Whereas what I want to do is slightly different, so we're going to write some custom SQL for this one. So here's what we're doing. Select star from tags T, and we're going to write it this way because we are not crazy people, and we are going to write this with an actual query against the database because we want to see it work there before we do anything else, because that's the best way to write any SQL, is not in line in the back end, in the back of a CS file. Excuse me. That would just be crazy. Where name, like, we're going to leave off the where for now. So that pulls them all back. This is the simplest form of that query right there. And what I want to do is this. I want to say inner join channel tags CT on CT dot tag ID equals T dot ID. Okay. So essentially what I'm saying is go ahead and join this together, and for now, because we have no where, no group by, this is going to be a, whoops, or I'm going to hit that button because I'm dumb every once in a while. I hit F5. Simon, we could potentially turn it into a view if we wanted to. This is going to be a super simple query though, so no top one. Fuel Snable. There's only like 20 results here. Or 64 results. What are you complaining about? No top 1. Come on. Let's see. Name like and actually, because name is loaded, or name like we're gonna put this in here just to make sure that that works. So these should all have a C in them. They do. But again, it's pulling back all the results because it pulled back C# twice, JavaScript twice, and .NET Core and C++ each once, because some of those tags were used more than one time. So what I want to do is I want to do t.star and ct. Actually, maybe just count. Yeah, just count. Group by t.id, t.name, t.description, which is annoying to have to do that, but I don't think there's a way to get around it. So we should now have one of each tag, and that's the count. So we'll call this as, I guess we could just call it count, but I will put this inside of square braces because, again, it is a keyword inside of SQL. But of course, this is not a data set with a few billion. Yes, exactly, Fuel Snail. There was 64 rows. Come on. Thanks, Lake Slumps. Yeah, in my environment, you do that. Mistake 1. Yeah, so Fuel Stable. So I've been in the same world before with massive amounts of data, and I will tell you that you always start off with top something. It doesn't have to be 1. It could be more if you really do want to see more data, because you want to see like at least something to give you a picture of it. But like top something. But in this case, we really are planning on just pulling back all 64 tags, because again, it's not many. Start that query on a Friday afternoon. Go no. Yeah, Fuel Snable. It probably does time out. I have had many a SQL query time out in the past. All right, so I'm gonna drop this where when we pull it out. But I think that code is gonna work for us. So we're gonna do this. So at search is all we need to replace that with. At search. Put that like that, and there is our SQL. Yay. Let's see. At a place where I used to work, the idiom was always to add with no lock to avoid queries locking the table. Fuel Snable, actually, so I was going to say there are some interesting things with doing that, but yes, I have worked at places where we had to do that because, if you ever needed to query something that was being written to, that was highly important. So, all right. I think that will work. This is going to get us back a slightly more advanced object than what we've got here. So, yeah. Await connection. Get. Actually, let's say query async. Or is it query multiple async? No, we have one result set. So we're going to do a query async. And what are our types? hang on. Dapper query async multiple. Here we go. So that's going to put it all on the order object, which we don't necessarily want to do. I'm going to try to do something a little crazy. Let's do tag int and can I do this? I don't know if that's valid. Oh my god, it is. Oh my god. It was valid. I can't believe it let me get away with that. That's going to be args, because we do need to pass that in. Alright, so this is complaining because this doesn't have its return value. This is supposed to return back a tag and the count. And I think that is literally all I have to do. Can I? Yeah, I can. That is... Oh my god, this is the funniest lambda I have written in a while. Oh, oh, that is a beautiful lambda. That is great. Oh my god, that is... Someone is going to probably, you know, I don't know, want horrible revenge for that code. But that actually just makes me laugh too much to get rid of it, because I could totally replace this with something nicer, but I don't think I've ever written that before. And that is just amazing. I don't know if you can all see what that is. It's like, does everybody even get what I'm doing here? Hey, Lycan, I haven't seen you in a while. Greetings. But that is just funny, because the way that the syntax for writing a lambda expression works, and the way that the syntax for the creation of a tuple or a tuple works, it does that, and you're just like, wait, what? Right here. That's our lambda right there, Fuel Snable. Oh, that's great. I think this might actually work, funny enough. So, I'm going to toss that in there, and we're actually going to find out. Yeah, isn't that great, Simon? What's a good way to go about logging within an Azure function? KZ, that is actually a great question. I want to get... so, I don't have a great answer for you, like, off the top of my head right now. It'd be based on a lot of other questions that I would have. But I'm planning on bringing Simon back on the stream, as well as Eric Fleming, and those two are experts in Azure Functions, and they actually do a video series specifically on them. So I'm going to bring those guys on at some point, and we will absolutely be doing some Azure Function stuff with them when we get the chance. I'm just going to go ahead and nickname you Gad for now, but because I'm guessing your name is Gadamus, maybe? But welcome, thanks for that follow, much appreciated. If I totally butcher your name ever, and that goes for anybody, whether I did it recently or whether I'm always doing it, just let me know and I'll try to say it better. Locking is a pretty in-depth topic, and you should probably look up Snapshot Iceland. Rising Phoenix is correct. Locking is an in-depth topic that would be difficult to get into frequently on a stream. Well, glad you're here either way, Lycan. Glad you were able to make the time. Gad and Gadamus were both correct. That's awesome. I'm thrilled to hear that. I'm always happy when I don't butcher people's names, so thank you for letting me know. These are basically Azure Logging. Good starting point is application insights. Yeah. So Simon just pointing in the direction of the built-in feature of Azure, but we're obviously not going to dig in further than that. But yes, you can check out the documentation on that, and I'm sure it will be helpful. You're always doing sometimes because they're too fancy. Link slumps? How am I supposed to say link slumps? That's not link slumps. I was certain I was getting your name right. I'm quite surprised. Oh, links lumps. Ah, but you have a capital S on there. Why is there a capital S then? You were trying to trick me. I see what this is. Did we fix all the code that SNB wrote yet? The Michael Jolly, no. We did not fix all the code that SNB wrote. Much of it was perfectly fine and didn't need fixing. Thanks for the troll. Alright, I was just kidding, by the way. Which, so was the Michael Jolly. He was also kidding. Now, the community here on the Twitch developer community is actually really, really fantastic. So, does that break? What is going on? Whoops. What happened? Oh, that's a challenge. We do have to define that. It is correct. We need a split on. Count? Huh. Whoops, meant to go here. Okay, fantastic. We got down to here. Do we have the values? Oh! Dang it. I didn't do this. I forgot to actually save the variable, and I left the old one in place because we were just checking this. To... what? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Rising Phoenix, coming in with a tier 1 sub. 8 month! 8 months! Whoa! That is huge! 8 months! Wow! That is quite a long time. Oh yes, the clip is fantastic, Rising Phoenix. That is one of my favorites. When you can find two extremely wealthy people, you know, that are parodying the, well, clearly one of the greatest movies of the 90s. It is definitely not one of the greatest movies of the 90s, although I do enjoy it. Yes, Rising Phoenix, an Uber lurker indeed, and welcome. I haven't actually talked with you in a while, but I am always glad when you are here. It's good stuff. I need to make this an object instead of this tag. So sadly, my really wonderful Lambda expression that is really terrible, but also wonderful at the same time. I apologize to everyone. We are getting rid of it. It will not survive. Let's see. So first off, it's going to equal that. Query async tag thingy. The SQL, this is the map. Oops, actually, let's put this on its own line. Put that back on that line. SQL tag args. So I'm splitting on the... So split on and splitting on that. I'm splitting on the parameters of this method because that's usually a good way to read this. So this is the wonderful lambda I'm talking about. This is gold. This thing is hilarious. I really did like this lambda, but it is going to die. Simon, yes, it's going to be more readable now, but this is just too fun. I need to find a way to preserve this. Alright, so here's what we have to do. Step 1 is going to be, we're going to open up the core project and add in a new object of some kind. Sheesh. I don't have a good place for it, actually. I don't know where it goes, so I'm going to put it in the root for now because I don't have a better spot for it. This isn't exactly the tag model. This is like... yeah, I know. Rest in peace. Ripperoni, Lambda. Ripperoni. This is like... Alright, I need a better name, so this becomes tag foo. Tag food. Tag foo! Alright, so here's what goes in tag foo. The tag... count. So tag search service. Maybe we should rename this instead and say something there, because what I'm planning on doing is changing this to return back a tag foo. And then this would, you know, take a tag foo as well. But I don't know what to call the foo. I'm not sure what it is yet. New tag foo. What? Oh, right. The enumerable's not a tag foo yet. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Feel the greed. Welcome, and thanks for that Twitch Prime sub. Much appreciated. Please do make sure that you enjoy your DevChatter hype emotes and your Chatosaurus egg. Give it a little bit of time, and that egg will start to hatch, and you will have yourself a Chatosaurus here on stream. So welcome. Definitely need some hype in the chat for that. So that's awesome. Good stuff. Yes, what is love indeed? Hype, hype. No problem at all, Rambling Geek. Wah, wah. Do. Let's do. Return value tuple. What is our value tuple's name instead, I wonder? This is going to be not... actually, you know what? Funny enough, I am going to call this tag foos. So a bunch of people are probably wondering, hey, why are you calling that tag foos? Isn't that just a temporary name? And you're right. You're absolutely right. The reason why we're going to use tag foo there is because tag foo is going to get renamed when we rename the type. So any variable that matches that name, it's automatically going to figure that out and fix it. So let's go here. So why don't we call this find tags with usage count. Find tags with count. No. No. There we go. Which means that tag foo is no longer the name either. This is getting renamed to tag with usage count. Did I pluralize that in my method name? Find tags with count. You know what? Maybe I'll just go with count then, since that's what I call the tag with count. And I think there's enough context to know it didn't rename this. I really thought it would. Tags with... It's tags with counts. We'll do this one because it's easier to add that S on the end. Tags with counts. I think that's what we wanted. Yeah, no problem with lurk there, Rambling Geek. So this goes to tag with count. The view model, in this case, definitely needs to have count on it, which means that this needs to change. So actually, I'm going to revert that back and go to definition of this, because then my navigation's going to work to go to the... Well, I thought my navigation would work. There it goes. Because now I can just change this to tag with count here. And tag with count here. And then that should work. We're going to need to rename this extension, but this is tag ID, tag name, tag description, count. Yes, it goes to a nice flat object for display on the page, because that's at least matching the existing structure, which, yes, I know there's an extra class there, not super necessary, not super relevant. Again, the cost is relatively minimal, and it keeps our code consistent in the way that we handle things, so it's kind of like... It's a little hand wavy. We could just get away with passing just the tag with count, and that'd probably be fine. So just for consistency's sake is the only reason we did this. Not strictly necessary. So if you don't feel like doing it that way, don't do it that way, because there is no actual need to do that. Let's take a look over here. So we now have tag count objects, so count should just work. If I didn't miss anything. Let's debug the site just in case I did. Whoops, I missed something. This. Oh, the other spot. Well. I didn't realize that. We'll fix that one then. You win, thing. You win. I didn't think there'd be a second place. Where's the other one calling it then? Actually, now that I think about it. Channel mappings and the channel edit. Oh, yep, it would need it there. Okay. Alright. Dot tag. Goodbye, dot tag. Dot tag. Dot tag. Goodbye, count. Tag. Ooh, that makes me wonder about the type that we're going into here. Someone needs to write a Roslyn analyzer that warns for inconsistencies in pluralization of names. Simon, you can, but that is such a complicated problem. I'm not sure how well you can actually handle that. Fuel stable. Off topic, you think it would be interesting to observe what happens when .NET Core 3.0 ships? They changed tiered compilation to be turned on by default. You've been bitten by... Oh! Fuel stable. I didn't know they'd switch that to be the default. But yes, I am super, super excited for .NET Core 3. I really, really want to see what they did with everything. Where are we in this code? We have tag mapping extensions. I think tag is a general term on here I'm going to be okay with. So let's do this. We're going to understand the fact that there is tagging in this project. So I'm going to have tagging inside of the core. We're going to move that into there and change its namespace. So we're going to put this in the right place to begin with instead of moving it there later. So tag with search service, tag with count. So that one should be working. We no longer need that one there. Can remove those as well. Let's debug. I think .NET Fuel Assembly. You think .NET Core 3 has a major milestone in it? Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of neat stuff in there. So one of the big things I'm looking forward to is I really, really want to be able to tell people that that building a Windows application, a WPF app, a WinForms app, something like that, is not the reason to use full framework anymore. Because as soon as .NET Core 3 is able to handle the bulk of essentially everything, I think we're going to start seeing the phase out of .NET Framework. Because right now, if you want to build a WinForms, WPF app, a UWP app, or something like that, you do have to use .NET Framework. You can't use .NET Core, but you're about to be able to as soon as we get .NET Core 3, and then that, I think, is going to be the point where we can tell everybody, no, there's basically almost zero reason to use .NET Full Framework anymore, unless you have that specific library need. Hey Pseudomods, welcome, greetings, and thanks for that host. I should show you the thing. So before we wrap up the stream, I don't know if you're planning on leaving me on in the background or something like that. But first off, welcome. Hopefully your day's going pretty well. I figure I should show you the stuff that I was working on at some point because I think you'd find it cool. People here will also. But it's not this project, so we're gonna keep working on this project. So this looks like it's working. Did that wire together correctly? Ooh, looks like no. Looks like no. We got a 500. What did we do? Object ref not set to an instance of an object on the creation of the new tag view model? Inside of the to view model. Okay, so it's inside of our mapping. Tag mappings. So over here, this bond? Really? Tag is null and count is 0? What? What data did we have? What do our models look like? Well, see, now it's got me curious. What did we end up with? We have one of these models is... Oh my god, no. When I switched it, I didn't actually finish the thing I was changing. No one yelled at me about that. I never wrote this. Ugh. Glad I remembered that we didn't do this yet. That was mildly derpy. The code I was complaining about having to change, I didn't actually change it. Oops, count. We never actually did the change. There we go. Waiting for some laughs in the chat there. It was mildly derpy. Derp. Sounds good, Pseudomods. Yeah, exactly. Andre, I figured that out nice and quick. I was like, wait a minute, why are they all empty? Oh, alright, so looks like count is there. We actually have the data in here this time. Yeah, we have the data in there this time. Okay, so we no longer need that breakpoint, because we're not just going to immediately bomb on there. But the cool thing about that is, now here's the thing, so we talked about doing a top, so we only pulled back a minimal set. So first off, we should do that anyway. However, notice what happened. Any tag that wasn't used is not even included in the set. Because of the way we did that, because we did the inner join on the data, it immediately removes, just automatically, any that aren't used. Because they were not, we didn't have a record of them being used. So, first off, I think that's how this should work by default anyway, so looks pretty good. Waiting for the version of SQL CLR that switches to core, then you know the phasing out of .NET is... yeah, Simon, your sarcasm is there, but I will tell you, those are like the signs of death that people watch for in frameworks and tools and things like that. Is there are certain things that it's like, wait, hang on, that switched? This old tech is dead. That's usually the sign that people freak out about. Not that I recommend going that route for deciding whether or not... Oh my god, yes, it says Scarcasm. I didn't even realize that. Nice catch there, Fuel Snable. That did not say sarcasm, it said Scarcasm. That sounds painful. Okay, so that is listed here with number of usages of each tag, so I like it. The cool part about this is that back-end code that we wrote in that service can be leveraged by a GraphQL query. So even if we decide that we want to use the GraphQL query instead of the API query, we have not actually wasted our efforts, because literally the only code that's not getting reused by the GraphQL when we do that is this code, and that's nothing. So that's the only non-used part, is this right here. Everything else we did was going to get used by GraphQL if we switch to that. So on this filtering, we may... So question is, are we pulling back all the data every time? I think we are. Let's see about VueJS. There's a thing I don't know how to do. V4, is there a way to just, is there a built-in limit in that tag? Because I want to limit the elements on the iteration of a V4 without actually specifying a change in the list. Oh, I could just do that, actually. That's a reasonable idea. Just slice the array. If we're doing that. That's actually a really cool trick. Oh, or that actually is another. That's a cool trick. Because you could just go based on the index and not continue reading after that certain point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a neat way to write that. Oh my god, that's actually kind of brilliant right there. Well, we're gonna steal that and use it. So essentially, and I'll give you the quick explanation on how this works, because I know that there are people that are not used to VueJS here. So I'll explain a little bit about the tags we're using. Okay, so here are the pieces. So first off, the way that a V4 works, when you have this essentially says the tag I'm on is going to get repeated one time for each item, that is, for each thing that's in whatever the collection, the collection thing is on the right. So in this case, tags. So because this is a collection of tags, we end up with our tag. We specify that we're going to use a tag. That means we're binding on an object named tag, which again we're going to use to do our binding here in these. However, we can also use a vif tag. So we already looked at the v4 when we started this part, but the vif does something else, and that says only render this one, so only create the HTML for this object if the index is less than 5. And in this case, the way that we're going to get an index is by changing up how we write this. So we can do tag and index, because when you enumerate the either array or the object that's on the right-hand side. In this case, we are absolutely doing an array. However, it's going to get us both the object and the index that we were at in the enumerating of it. So that should work. Let's see what happens. First off, did we... let's make sure that it works. We're going to limit only to the top 3. Because I know that we have more than 3 used tags, and I want to make sure that we can actually tell that it limited it in our initial run of this. Three. Wait, index greater than 3. That was going to show 4 items. Derp. That's what I meant to do. Wow, it let me change that while debugging. I guess it was just the CS_HTML, so I guess I'm allowed to change that while the site's debugging. I didn't even think about that, but there we go. So that does seem to work. That would limit us to our top 3, which I'm not going to have us at top 3. I'm going to do us at top 5. We need to change the way we display that. So we're going to want to take a look at some CSS for how we can write that a little bit better. How do you set up a .NET Core app with Vue for the front end? So there are actually a lot of ways you can do that. I'm going to guess lazy days. And if that is, then I absolutely love the name. And if it's something else, I might still like it. But first off, welcome and thanks. The code for this project, as await task mentions, is out on GitHub, so you can have a look at how we do that. But the short answer is, if you just include VueJS on either a page or in the layout of the pages, so when you're in .NET Core and an ASP.NET Core website, you can... it might be Laser Days, Fuel Snable. It's hard to say. That could be what it's short for or something. Essentially, we put in the layout of our project a reference to VueJS, like the actual, like, you know, JavaScript library, and then within the pages we just reference out to JS files that you know, set up a VueJS object, so it creates a Vue object on that page bound to a root element. Now in our case, we didn't do a SPA. You can actually do a single page application in ASP.NET Core, and then essentially you just treat ASP.NET Core as your backend web API that you're calling. In our case, we are actually sprinkling it in on the pages themselves. So it works a little bit differently. There's a little bit of overhead for us, but VueJS is fairly lightweight in that, so it's not a big honking framework that's gonna really slow things down. So it actually works pretty well. That's one of the reasons why we like VueJS here. So feel free to check out our code. As I mentioned, it's on GitHub at github.com/devchatter. So yeah, so that works. Cool. You know what? We're going to commit this change, kind of. We're going to commit it in a branch, because we're not done. So let's go ahead and say, Henrik, UX channels page. So we're doing some UX work on the channels page. I think that branch name makes sense, and we're branching off of the dev branch. And let's see, what are we doing? So that's pulling the tag with count. So that's what these are all doing. That is a change I don't care about. It's going in anyway, and that is do an initial search. So this I'm going to commit separately. Load tag data on page load, because that's a separate thing. So is this technically, but it is so tightly tied with the rest of it that we'll do it all together. So pull tag usage count with tag, which I'm going to lowercase that u. So pull tag usage count, and I'm only capitalizing the C because it is the actual property we're grabbing. So we're going to do that. Nick, happy Monday indeed, and welcome. Let's see. I think the difference in culture for core being open source software from the beginning will help keep innovation momentum. I hope so too, Simon. Sounds good, Lazy Days. And let me know. Do let me know if I'm getting your name right, because that's an interesting one. So, for example, I'm pretty sure I can get Nick Larson right. And happy Monday and welcome. Now, it's possible I'm getting that one wrong still, and if I ever am getting your name wrong, even if I think I'm getting it right, do please let me know. Because I would prefer to get it correct. Let me see if people have some, no, not select meant tag. My keyword was tag there, not select. No, not a style tag. What kind of, how do we describe these tags? Let's try taxonomy. Maybe... style taxonomy terms. So this is why it's useful to have a wide vocabulary as a developer. It is super useful to be able to come up with it, because tag is such an overloaded word that I wanted to define a little bit better what I meant. CSS, yeah, see, it's dropping the word taxonomy, which that is an important word here. Yeah, must include taxonomy. CSS styling. No. Alright, so this is CSS style horizontal list. So first off, we want to do, mine's not a navigation menu, but the concept is still the same. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and create some basic styling for this. So let's take a look at the www root CSS site.css file. I forget if our min's getting generated correctly or not. Let's go with a basic tag styling. I am not a CSS whiz, so we're going to put this in here. We're going to call this, we're going to call it tag selection, maybe? So a UL called tag selection, which actually, we're going to class it as tag selection and make it a list. So the LIs in this are going to get that. So we need to apply this style to our UL. Class gets tag selection. Site's not running. I should refresh. Capillera. Yeah, probably. If I thought about doing that, then I probably could. All right. Let's go grab that and put it on our UL instead of that, right? And then the items. X direction is going to be row. Oh, you kidding? No. The new thing in web design is we're putting everything in a table. Haven't you all heard that? No. We've thrown out CSS. We're gonna go back to using tables. I guess I don't... so I did it as a list, but I guess I don't technically need to do it as a list now, do I? I'll just say tag selection is going to get that, regardless of whether it's a UL. So let's just make it a... actually, why don't I put this div on this one, then? I don't think I need the nested div at that point. We'll do this. I'm not sure what the list buys us, so now we need the spacing, right? Yeah, Fuel Snable, we'll use some 1-pixel images to do tracking for us. Tables. Does anyone know which browsers still support the blink tag? This is highly important. We definitely need to use the blink tag in here somewhere. Oh, thank you. I'm glad to know that. The new thing in WebUI is C#. Thanks, Simon. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Oh, good, it is generating. Fantastic. I was hoping it was. So our min.cs is still generating. I hadn't messed with our site.css since like an early point in the stream, so I couldn't remember if it was actually still building that correctly or not. Switch tag selection to horizontal using flex. Let's do that. Hey, Tsunamix, are you still in the chat here somewhere? Is there an easy way to create a socket client server on Damavat? If you mean a WebSocket client server, then I would recommend you take a look at setting up SignalR, as that really is the way you're going to want to do it. And SignalR actually has clients in various languages, so you can connect to the server, and there's existing libraries to help you make those connections in C# as well as like JavaScript and Java and a variety of other languages. So take a look. It's called SignalR, as in like SignalR, like that. We use it in some of our projects. You can find a lot of examples online. But if that's what you meant, then that is what I would recommend you take a look at, as that is the nicest way to set one up. If you need to do it custom, there is information about how to set that up online as well. Let me go ahead and do that. I think I opened up another instance of Visual Studio. We're going to find out in a second whether I did or not. I did not. I will try that again. There it goes. Boxy baby! Welcome. Hi. I only saw your message in there for a second before the Visual Studio covered it up. No, Tsunamix, you're totally correct. I mentioned your name. If you want Blink, you can create a polyfill with keyframe. Yeah, that's what someone was mentioning there, Boxy baby. And welcome. Haven't seen you in a while. Still love your name. It's awesome. Glad you're here. I actually like a lot of the names that we've got people in chat, except for the Michael Jolly. I don't like that name. That name's I only have one problem with it. You started with the. Come on, that's just chop that. Just Michael Jolly. Hey, Ancient Coder, welcome, greetings, and I think Michael Jolly knows I was kidding. Hope so, at least. He's a pretty cool guy. I like him a lot, and I don't feel bad about calling him out because he's also a streamer. So I don't usually mind calling out a streamer quite as much because they tend to be a little bit more used to it. Links lumps. I'd say the. Oh yes, the Michael Jolly. We need to be formal about this. So, I want to run a thing, which is running. We're going to take a look at this code. We're going to bring this over here and toss this up on the screen. Because I want to show Sunamix a thing, because this is my update here, Sunamix. I think I mentioned to you that I was doing that I did a significant visual overhaul on the stuff I was working on. So Sunamix actually does a very cool stream here. It's not a programming stream, but he gets into some stuff that is related to our industry. He does a stream where he is actually, so this is not, first off, this is not his code, this is original standard thing, but he does a stream where he is building a mod for Final Fantasy VII, which is an over 20-year-old game at this point, but essentially he's building an HD remake plus kind of mod, so it's got all kinds of upgrades to all the graphics to make it look a lot nicer, but in addition to that, they're adding some gameplay and other changes like that. It is a massive endeavor. They're even adding voice acting to an old game, which is kind of hilarious. But aside from that, he mentioned a funny idea, and I know I showed this on stream a couple of times recently, but I built this little app that connects into Final Fantasy VII and pulls the data. So you see these 4 colors it displays here. Those are the colors of the menu. And I can actually adjust the game through my little control here to whatever colors I want. And you can see that I can adjust the game while we play this. However, there's another cool thing that I did, which is this. You may have noticed a message that just popped into chat that says FF7 menu control color control enabled. And so what's neat about that is that I can now do yellow, red, blue, green. Type that into chat, and the colors change to yellow, red, blue, and green, specifying top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right in that order. I don't know why I did that order, but I did. I figured that was an order that at least left to right readers would understand. And Boxy Babe, if you want to do all the same color, you can actually just specify 1. So you can just do like menu blue, for example, and that just works. That's the cool thing that we did there. Janisku, this is a different bot. There's no rock, paper, scissors on this one. But anyway, so the things I'm doing aside from that are kind of interesting that I've started taking a look at, I'm building this page, which is another cool one. So in this game, there's actually a neat concept, and this menu is bothering me right now, so there we go. Menu is too bright. So sadly you can't, so the problem is if I don't actually have the window focused, you don't see that the color changed, so I have to click in it for you to see that, which actually is a good point. Thank you, Janisku. Okay, so here's the deal. This game has this like date mechanic built in, so this is the page I'm setting up here that I want to do for it. So I'm probably going to do a little bit of this on stream. I know we did some of this on stream on Saturday, but here's what I want to set up. I want to set it up so a streamer who's playing this game, first off, can give menu control to the chat, so that they actually have that power in the chat. But I also want to do a couple of other things. I want to make it so that the chat can vote on who they think the main character should go on a date with in the middle part of the game. So in the middle of the game, the main character is going to go on a date with one of the other party members. And I want everybody to be able to vote on that, because we can take control of that during the game while the streamer's playing it and have the chat vote. And the way I want to do that is by making it so that there's some either like a minimum bit amount that they can cheer, and essentially will total up the amount of bits that have been, you know, put forward for any given choice. So, there you go, Sunamods. You made a silver stripe down the middle. Can you join multiple tables in Entity Framework? Root Guy, the answer to that is yes. Yes, you can. You use what are called includes to bring on extra data. So, yes. And but if you are going to go that route, I do recommend that you check out the SQL that is actually generated. And Boxy Baby just took a guess right there, and and Boxy Baby, you are absolutely correct. You can put in hex codes for all of that. Hello and welcome. Greetings, Raiders. We are doing a cool thing today. Welcome to DevChatter. If you don't know, my name is Brendan, and I am the host of DevChatter, as you can probably guess from my being down here in the corner. Bright pink is not one of our named colors, Simon. But there are other names as well. So I'm currently showing off a cool little project that I did some of on stream. So if you are new here, we actually mostly do web development in C# and JavaScript. Lots of fun stuff on the stream, but right now we're showing off a cool chat integration. Hey, greetings! I'm going to go with FB, and welcome FB and friends. Thanks for that raid, much appreciated. I hope your stream was good. So right now, chat actually has control of a game of Final Fantasy VII that is running on my screen here, and the control that they've got is actually that they can adjust the menu color in this program. So they're tossing in colors as you see those being typed into chat. That just takes those and loads them directly into this game, and they get control over the menu color. So it's kind of neat. Hey, Robert Tables, welcome. Greetings, Clark. Welcome everyone that came in from that. Are you advancing it to take statuses and whatnot too? Sunamods, you are wondering about the in-game party stats and things like that. So I made a page right now for party member stats control. I'm going to make a combat page as well that will take into effect status effects. So if you want to turn on the ability to have various status effects, like, say, whether or not a character's poisoned, yes, Sunamods, I am planning on building that as well. I'm probably going to try to show plenty of this off on stream while we build it. Very nice colors there, Boxy Baby. Purple, green... Oh, don't... Janisko, you can't get a comma in there. I do not weed those out. I'm not cleaning up anything you say. You have to be, so your commands do have to very specifically match what I'm looking for right now. We obviously could clean those up by chopping out things like commas and spaces and stuff that stray ones that get in there. And no, we do not have support for typoed colors either, Janisku, but it's a good plan to check for bugs. So what? Red, black, red, wait, black, red. There you go. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Look at, oh, that is like, well, I guess I could do DevChatter colors. FB, welcome. Thanks for that follow. First a raid, now a follow. Much appreciated. If anyone else is in here, just feel free to go ahead and send in a menu drop table logs. Much appreciated, Fuel Snable. That's exactly what we needed. Funny response to that. No, we yeah, I know, right? There's no table. Plus, Robert Tables is in here. That was his responsibility to do that. Do you need cross-DB compatibility? Yeah, so the biggest problem with doing a drop table on this is, first off, there's no table to drop. Cutter, first off, that is an awesome name. And welcome, thanks for following. Menu clear disk number 1, remove data. Thanks, Boxy Baby. Much appreciated. Yeah, so the trick with this one is, you're all absolutely correct. Whenever you build any kind of chat interactivity on Twitch, it is very important that you not actually ever use any value ever typed by chat. for anything. What you do is you check to see if what they typed matches what you're looking for. You never, ever, ever, ever actually use it for anything, because that's how you keep things secure. Don't use their value. They have to match yours, and that's it. If you do have to use their value, be very careful with it. Thanks, Simon. Yeah, exactly. You just eval any code they type in. That's how it works. Oh yeah, Janiscu, that menu color is glorious. Look at that. Oh, hey, that one's actually pretty nice. You're gonna bring people to come see this. Oh, yeah, sounds good, Sunamods. Yeah, so the neat thing is that, like, it looks really cool to watch it change while you're in combat, because I don't actually have to be on this menu screen for you to have that control either. Like, literally, people can just... So, we're going to see Cotter's adjustments here in a second. See? There's the one Cotter did. We were not on the menu, but you can still have control to change it. So anyone can just, you know, make the adjustment as they go. So, we're about to see Janiscu's color change. There's the color change Janiscu just sent in. Yes, Cotter, exactly. You're changing the colors at the corners of the screen is actually how it works. The other neat thing about this, so I'm going to build a background process into this that is keeping all this data up to date while the app is running. So essentially going and checking for those values so that we know what they are at any given time. Is there something wrong with that color, Boxy Baby? Oh, you said color instead of menu. Boxy Baby, it's menu, not color. Yeah, there you go. And thanks, that color is fantastic. We really needed this one. So this is the cool thing, is like, even just while just stuff's going on in the game, we're not in the menu or anything like that. No, so Cotter, I do check specifically for having specified all 4 corners, because if you specified 3, I don't know what you meant, and if you specified 5, I don't know what you meant. So I don't have a good option for that. We maybe could do something where you specified 2, and that did top or bottom or left or right, but I'd really rather not make the assumption on that and just ask you to type in all 4. So it does work pretty nicely. Some of the colors get really wonky, so again, if you were a speedrunner or something like that, we could technically support random there, Boxy Baby. But the cool thing is that you can pretty much just add that, and this feature alone doesn't really affect gameplay at all. So people can just kind of do it, which is neat. Oh, I want to see Janiscu's new color. There you go. Isn't that glorious? Just lovely, lovely color there. Oh, that's a pretty car. Oh man, these graphics. Suna, I have been seeing your graphics too much recently. These look so bad right now after after watching all the modded versions. It's so bad. Oh, I haven't ridden this elevator in forever. Okay, so the cool thing that we want to look at, yes, you ruined the game for a lot of us. I am actually gonna shut down the... Oh, hang on. Hey, there you go, Red. Nice job. You got us new menu color there. So, also, I know you'd seen this before, but Janiscu, I have this really nice new interface for the color selection. So if the streamer actually wants to take over, you can actually cut everybody else out and choose whatever color you want in a slightly nicer way than what the game ever gave you. So... Oh yes, Cotter, exactly. It is very strange. So, for anyone that doesn't know how we're doing this, I will show you. It's actually kind of neat. So, we wrote this into our C# application itself. I apologize, that'll be coming back up there. All the image will be coming back up again. But the way that we found the values is kind of neat. If you are one of the programmers in chat here, I do want to actually show you how this works, because if you don't know this tool, you absolutely should. This tool is called Cheat Engine, and I am going to connect it to Final... oh, wait, I did connect it to Final Fantasy VII. Okay. So here's what I'm going to look for. I am going to look for a byte that is 255 right now. So I'm going to look for a single byte that's 255. Right? There should be a bunch of them. Now what I'm going to do is this. I am going to change that byte. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. Normally I would have done this in-game. Now I'm going to look for a byte that's 177. Although I really should have disabled chat while I did this, because you guys can mess me up. And then we're going to set it down to 0. Send it to the game. Set it to 0. Boxy baby. I saw that. Which one was I checking? Red? So I needed to go to 255, not... There we go. So it's one of these is the one that we want. And so now what we can do is this. We can set this to like 12. Send it to the game. And the one that turned to 12 is the correct one. So this memory location right here is the current menu color. So that right there is the current menu color. So what we actually do, and actually it might be that one that we need, but it's hard to say for sure. Because you do have to dig in, but there's actually a lot of extra work that goes into this, but those values can also be changed within the game. So, yes, Red, it's a custom-built application. Cotter, have a good one. Thanks for swinging by. Good luck with your deployment. I hope it goes well. So the cool thing about this is that this program actually lets you just search the memory for any given type. So I was looking byte by byte, but I can actually look more specifically than that. Because what I can actually do is I can look for this as a full hex value. For example, if I say I want to do this as a hex value of that, and I say find an exact value of this, but I need to do a new scan. It's not a byte. Yeah. It should be in there. So let's change this to a new value, send it to the game. And if we take a look, nope, it didn't get it. Okay, well, apparently we can't find it that way. So the problem is this. When they created this game, this tooling I'm using, because I didn't specify an extra type, I have the option of either looking for a single byte, 2 bytes, or 4 bytes. I can't look for 3 bytes. And the problem is Final Fantasy VII stored the colors as 3 bytes. So, which makes sense. RGB. You just need 3 bytes for that. Welcome, Red. Thanks for that follow. Much appreciated. So, mildly hard to find with the tooling, but I actually found these values with individual byte searching, and we got it. Simon, you used to do this for hacking some XCOM to save the game back in the day. Oh, that's hilarious. Yes, Red. So, the memory in this game is kind of funny. They stored just little bits of data all over the place. It's quite surprising where some of it is. So I actually mapped a whole bunch of the data in this game to figure out where exactly everything is. And I started actually building... So I've actually got, in my program here, I have a whole folder full of information about memory locations of where everything is actually stored, so that we can actually find it and access all that data. But it is neat because we actually do have control to find all these values. So it's very, very cool. What I want to do is make it so that we have control for some extra stuff as well. So right now, inside of the form, I know I mentioned the couple of places that we've got. So we have, this is the menu page, which is the main point of interest. I need to put a control on here so you can decide whether or not you want to turn this feature on or off, because I do figure people are going to have, different features that they want to enable and disable. Yes, Boxy Baby, it was just Form 1 because I didn't have a name for it yet. It's literally the only one on here, so hence Form 1. I didn't make like a splash page or anything. Nope, nothing. You know how easy it is to rename that, Boxy Baby. Don't kill me over Form 1. That's not the worst thing. It's just funny. I didn't have a name for it. I could also have called it like main window, which would have been the default in if I'd done it as a WPF app instead of a WinForms app. But I kind of wanted to do it in WinForms just because it sounded funny because I hadn't used it in forever. If I get Sister Ray working, FF7 modding gets blown wide up. Suna, I haven't even seen the Sister Ray stuff. Let's see. We need you to get talking to Quantum Pencil. He's looking for this information for Sister Ray mod tool. Oh yeah. How do you access the address space for an unmanaged process from a .NET app? Simon, so there's actually multiple ways to do it. I am actually leveraging, so I'm actually calling through directly to some C++ libraries in order to do this. So I am actually overwriting that data directly in the other app using that. However, I also found reference to some actual .NET libraries that seem to be able to do the same thing. So I don't know if they were just calling out to other stuff or whether they're also running managed code. But either way. So yes, Boxy Baby. The funny thing is that the UI really doesn't matter and could get replaced very easily with almost anything. It was more of level of work that I wanted to put in. So for example, if I did this as a WPF app, I quickly did some basic searches, and I actually looked at switching it to one because I could already, like almost nothing is actually in the WinForms app. The challenges I ran into is I looked for simple color control selector thingies, and there was nothing as nice as this in WPF, and I was able to just pull these and just kind of drop them in there and they just work, which that rapid application development of WinForms from back in the day is a total win. But yes, I agree. I would love to do it as a WPF app at some point. It would certainly look prettier in a lot of ways, and we could do some cool stuff with it. But I'm less concerned with that and more about just making it, function right now. VF Toolkit has a color picker. Oh, well, there you go, Boxy Baby. See. So I have not open sourced this at all yet. This one's actually a private repo on GitHub for now. But I might talk to some people if you were interested. I think I have a branch that is switching this to WPF, Boxy Baby, but I haven't done that yet. So either way, I thought I would show off the thing that we're doing here. So basically on the date thing, I want to kind of just make it like whether or not it's enabled, whether there's a minimum amount of bits that you need to do to, add to the total, or if maybe we could do it as like the first one to have so many bits donated for automatically gets it. So some kind of options for like choosing how you want the date voting mechanism to work. And then I want to do basic party stats adjustments, as well as giving people access to like status effects and things like that. So I know a number of streamers that would be up for doing a challenge run where chat could decide to just, pay to lower your level or pay to reduce your, values to something, either temporarily or permanently or something like that. Yeah, Suna, I will absolutely get you something on this one so that you can take a look at it. Because right now the current version works just sans the like the party and date pages aren't wired up. They're just here and ready for their data to line up. Although I have the values for all of them, so connecting them all is pretty easy. I don't have it running right now, Suna. So if you actually want to affect the color, I will have to start it up again. So yeah, Suna, send in your command again. The blue, red, green, white, or whatever color you want. Yeah, there you go, see? So, yep. just while you're playing the game. You could be anywhere. You can be in the menus. You can be, you know, in chat dialogue, and just whenever you want, just change colors. It's kind of neat. So, good stuff. And I apologize about the blinking right here. I can't control that. There's not terribly much, but... I am supposed to stop this on the floor. And then combat should start here. And there you go. So there's Red's color suggestion there as black, green, black, and blue. Yeah, exactly. So the menu modding that a lot of you guys have done of getting rid of the display of the color menu. Luckily, those are all optional features, as far as I know, Suna. So if someone really did want to run with this, you could probably turn those off, and it would actually work pretty well. And don't you like that hot pink is actually one of the named colors there, Suna? So that actually works. Yeah, hot pink. No, Boxy Baby, we don't support transparent. But funny enough, if those... No, Suna, they don't have an alpha channel. They didn't do an alpha channel on there, so not as far as I know. Although that's... Hang on. Now you got me wondering. So there's an unused 4th bit. So when I told you they only used 3 bits, there's a they only used 3 bytes. Excuse me, misspoke. There is a 4th byte there, but it's not used for color. So it's possible it's the alpha channel. I never tried changing it. Do they have it? My God, you've got me wondering now. I need to find out. All right, hang on. Let me get into a menu after this, because the problem is I don't want to be like mid-combat with like guys fighting me. Yeah, I need to find out. No, there's no plaid. Come on. Hey, Uprisen, welcome. So the reason I'm not sure about that is because some of the menus are transparent, so I don't know whether they're applying an adjustment and what would happen if we overflowed them or something like that. Enough colors is... I don't... so you do need to specify 4 valid colors. Yeah, Simon, if it's RGBA, I think it is. But that's probably what the 4th value is, but I don't know for certain. So in the game, they didn't give you control over the alpha channel, so... I removed the alpha channel from these controls that we're doing here, but we could add it back in if that really does work. So let's find out. Yeah, those work. Gold and silvers. MC Indus Mods, welcome. Hey there, greetings. And I apologize, if I have another window up front, you don't actually see when Final Fantasy VII changes its menu colors. They don't change with this, so... menu colors... Whoops. Alright, we're gonna check the top right menu location. Add an address manually. This is gonna be a single byte. That should be the blue channel. That'll be the red channel. Or the green, and then this will be the red. Did you guys change it to... Is it white there or something? What is that? Interesting. I will check that out. One second there, Suna. Let's see what you got. So that value is that, huh? D3 wasn't anything, was it? No, the next one starts on D4. So that is definitely an alpha channel between two colors right here. Let's set 128 to 0 and see if anything happens. I don't see any change. I don't see anything. So I'm not sure what they're using that value for, but it doesn't look like it's an alpha. It doesn't look like it's an alpha channel. So this is between the values that right here, the top right and the bottom right. And there's no alpha channel coming in, so I don't think they use it. So it's a real bummer. We can try it in battle, yeah. Might make a difference there. We can trigger another battle and take a look. And Janiscu has equipped us with a new color. There you go. Let's change from 128 to 0. No change. And that doesn't change it either. But just for confirmation that these values are the ones you want to change in order to do this, you can see the color changes when I adjust these ones. And then that becomes white. So those are the values, but this one doesn't seem to affect the alpha channel. So bummer, we can't control transparency of it. Because if you could do that, then you could choose that some of them were transparent, or semi-transparent even. But no, we don't get that control, so... MC Indus. I missed his message. He said hi there. I think I said hi. Yes, he's an FF8 modder. I'm a big fan of FF8. It's a great game. I don't know what the mods are you're working on it, but cool stuff. So what is this? Suna? This is what are you suggesting here, Suna? This 2 for the command box where you choose your options. What memory location is that? Thanks, Janiscu. $15? Is the byte at that address? It wouldn't matter, Boxy Baby. I specifically chose a number that would be between two colors. So so if it is ARGB, then that would mean that I was changing the alpha channel of the bottom right corner instead of the top right corner. So that's why I chose the one that I did, is because I knew that it would be on the right-hand side changing the alpha. So... If I change it to... You're saying change... What's, to... You're saying if I change this first memory address to that one and this second memory address, well, let's save them both then. And I'm assuming these are both bytes, but I didn't check. Oh, actually, that second one's 2 bytes, isn't it? MC Indus mods. We support about 140 named colors, so just try one, and odds are it works. And you can also use any hex value that you want. So any 6-digit hex value will work. Just preface the hex value with a number sign. So you're suggesting that if I change this to something? Oh, Janiscu jumped in with one right over you, but yes, green, blue, violet, and black should all work. Let me try it. So, yep, there you go. Green, blue, violet, black. Yeah, yeah, I know, right? Like, it supports hot pink. It supports a lot of weird colors that you wouldn't expect, actually, that people mentioned colors of that I didn't know were even colors. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. So, hey, Strife, welcome, greetings. So, this enemy here is a big jerk. He's like hitting us or something. Luckily, in this game, the early parts of the game, there isn't actually any challenge anywhere, so... Janiscu, you gave something that must not have been one of our colors, because it didn't change to your suggestion. Yep. See? So it's kind of neat, just because it happens, like, you know, just while you're going, nothing's going on, but just changes. Nice. Yeah, so it totally works, Strife. Try typing in 4 menu colors. Yeah, Janisco, I think the dark purple's the one that got you there. I don't think dark purple's a thing. But Strife, type in / menu and then 4 colors. So I did it as like you're reading text. So top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right is the ordering that I went with. We could have done it in like clockwise order, starting in the top left or something like that. It'd be easy to configure, but that's just how I wired it up. Janiscu, the only gray we support is with an A. Welcome to Murica. No, actually, it's just because that's what I copied off the internet, was a bunch of menu names, and it happened that it pulled the A one. No, it's the gray that got Janiscu's there. But Strife's, yours worked. Some darks I think will work. So, the neat part about this is changing menu color does not affect anybody running the game. Yeah, turquoise is in there. Obviously. So, works pretty well. Yes, you can do a single color as well, Strife, and just jump straight to black. Glad we got a Murica in chat there. 2 or 3 colors are ignored, Suna. If you don't type in 1 or 4, we ignore it. So, because we don't really know how to handle it, because we don't know whether you wanted the top and the bottom to match or the left and the right to match. So, Boxy Baby, I thought about asking system colors for their names, but I wanted to be able to have a set that we could control the names of and adjust for. So the fact that I've got, that I was mentioning that, we need gray to be like an A or a Y, I didn't want to run into that kind of a problem, so I wanted us to have control of it. So my plan is to support both the full system colors enum set of colors, as well as our own custom list, Boxy Baby, just in case we needed our own set. So for yes, salmon works. Oh, Noah Duck! Welcome, Oh Noah Duck. Yeah, so that was kind of the idea, is support as many colors as we can. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Hey, Suna! Congratulations, buddy! You now have Chattosauruses too, and thanks for the sub. Much appreciated. Yeah, the What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. And Strife. Thank you also for the tier 1 sub. That's some hype. Yeah, it's cool stuff, and thanks. Yeah, I think you guys are both gonna love this thing, because it's absolutely ridiculous. Oh yeah, see, that's the problem, is I don't actually have Suna's hype. I don't think I can Suna hype, because isn't that a higher tier on yours? Boxy Baby, is that a color? Oh my, no, that's good, that's not a color. That's not what we don't support the system got colors set yet, Boxy Baby, although we will. And, yeah, it's a higher tier, so I can't do the hype trick. Not even on my other account. So the funny thing being, I actually do have 2 accounts for anybody that doesn't know. So, see, that's also me. I have my personal account and this account. Scarlet ought to work. Scarlet doesn't work? You've got, like, Crimson, though. Crimson works. We definitely have Fuchsia, also, and, we also have White, Blue, Black, and Orange. Which can make some cool effects. But the neat thing being, and one thing I do want to mention, some of the stuff we're actually building into this, because I do want to show it for people that are interested, which I'm actually going to get that out of the way for now, and you can see the colors changing on here, because this UI updates as you update the game also. It doesn't know what burgundy is, I guess. That, or, I don't know, something. Yeah, no, it totally does, Suna. I think it would be a cool thing, like, just having that just generally going during a stream. But the thing I was going to say about this, so we're wiring it up on some of these other ones, but I'm thinking about doing it on menu color too. So, like, if someone were doing an actual, like, speed run, or if someone were running this at an event, I might make it so that you can lock it down so they can only change colors if they also put a cheer in there or something like that. So some minimum amount of bits cheered in order to do it. Cicero, hello, welcome, greetings. So we might try to do that kind of stuff so that we can say, like, you know, if you're at an event, like, the color's only going to change if people actually, you know, cheer 100 bits or something like that, and then they can change the menu color. So that's kind of the idea. Brown? I didn't look at brown. Oh yeah, that's kind of, yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, it's not bad, but kind of a boring menu color. Yeah, hang on a second, Duck. You will see this as soon as, unless someone else chimes in with a new one. I don't know what Ebony's gonna do with us. This must be yellow ochre, and the ebony must not be considered a color within this color set. So, ivory is, though, apparently. Maybe just use black instead of ebony. But no, that it seems like it works. All these controls, and we do actually. So the other stuff I was talking about, we do actually have full access to all the character stats and other values as well at runtime. So we can mess with any of these. So apparently, peacock blue and egg white don't count. They don't get anything. But there you go. That's a valid color, and that's actually a pretty nice one. That's pretty easy on the eyes. Some of these hospital green. Yeah, yellow is kind of painful. So is gold, for that matter. Bronze isn't a color? Yeah, so Simon, there's a lot of like chat commands that we can wire in here. No, apparently platinum doesn't get you anything. Neither does Byzantine. So gold works, but not emerald. But I think sky blue... Well, sky blue does, but I don't think jasper did. Maybe. The Michael Jolly, you spelled fuchsia wrong. It's like that. Yeah, see, Boxy Baby got it right also. You gotta... Fuchsia's a hard word to spell. Very nice, the Michael Jolly. Yeah, so some of the fun that people have with this is just figuring out which colors even work. Yeah. No, there's some nice ones. It's nice to have named colors, but it's also really useful to have like full sets of colors. Now, the neat thing about it is that because of the way we did it, we could also add in like named color sets, for example. So you could name a set that chose a specific color to do as well. So you wouldn't just... So you could specify one thing that set all four corners, for example, if we wanted to set those up. You should add chartreuse... Chatosaurus green. Yes, Simon. Chatosaurus green. That actually doesn't look bad. That's kind of an interesting color palette, but yeah. It was just kind of neat, because chat doesn't usually get control of colors. I don't know what a Brendan command would end up being, Suna. We need Scarlet and Gray up in here. Scarlet and Gray. But I don't think it takes Scarlet as a color, like we were saying. Well, either way, I figured I'd show this off because I know there are some people that wanted to see the rose is apparently not a color either. Yeah. So there's more. We can easily add support for more named colors. Rose red. No. Maybe brick red a color? Nope. Whoops, I can't spell. Try red orange? No. Strife, you do have to put them all in the same format. I don't accept more than one format type. So if you wanna make that work, you do got to put them all in together. Now, I could make it work, but I haven't yet. We do it as one full set. I didn't think that was a use case that was worth supporting, and it's simpler not to. This is true, Suna. You could absolutely do this kind of thing, where you just leave it up because it is kind of fun to just mess with it in the colors, because it's kind of neat to be able to actually have that control. So the cool thing is, I originally was not sure whether this value would get updated when we did that, and it does. And the reason I wasn't sure is there's actually 3 values for any given point on the menu. There is this one that's determining the color of the actual menu. There is the one that's determining what the color preview is right here. So this has its own set of memory values for that color. And this color swatch and these values also have those same color values. So notice how you changed the menu and these didn't change. So when I cancel out of this, you're going to lose that change. See how it reverted? Because that preview is not changing as you change those colors. So when you load the config menu, luckily for me, they load this value automatically. I was originally planning on having to set this color swatch so that the player could get that value still, but it happened by default. So the way that Square wrote the game, the code's automatically updating those memory values for me each time, so I didn't actually have to do the extra work. So see, the color swatch isn't changing. So It's actually the thing that'll trip you up when you're trying to track down this value with yeah, Square did a good job with some things, Strife. There's some stuff in the code that'll really boggle your mind, and other things where they actually did stuff right. So yeah, okay, see, there you go. Strife was kidding. They did some good stuff, they did some bad stuff. If FF8 uses textures, Dream Scenario is linked to an image that then maps to the menu boxes. Oh my god, yeah, Red, that could be bad. Yeah, so Suna, one of the crazy things, yeah, so Suna, I will try to do one at some point where I'm actually just working on this the whole stream. Right now I'm just kind of showing it to people, but because it's kind of a cool thing. But the I now want to know where Threnin is from, and I apologize if I butchered your name, but I have a guess on which state you're from. But anyway, just let us use cursor colors if possible. Set the cursor color? Oh, you mean of that little hand? I doubt that's possible. I really doubt that's possible, Boxy Baby. Text color, maybe? I don't know where that's coming from. But that could get really bad, and you'd basically need to be a speedrunner to do that, because you'd need to not be able to read. Yeah, no, Strife, we have a lot of stuff planned for this, actually. Specifically, voting and control over the date that happens in the Gold Saucer is in process. I have all the memory locations and everything for this, and values set up. This page just isn't wired up yet. And I want to actually make it so you enable and disable it as the streamer, so you can decide whether or not you want people to be able to control whether or not dates happen. And then for party adjustment, so that people can, you know, decide that they want to down level a party member or increase, decrease stats, you know, things like that. So essentially, like, mess with your characters during the game. And I'm going to make a combat tab as well that'll handle things like being able to add status effects and stuff like that, either to the party members. So could be an interesting thing. Okay, so wait, so Threnin says it's not the M state. Okay, well, I don't know then. You could put a hand on every menu color and have it change with hexing. Oh, the challenge there, Uprisen, is you'd actually have to make all those, and that'd be a crazy one to put in there. Strife, I don't know if there might be a way to force a combat to happen. Actually, I would have to figure out if someone's got the memory value for where the combat trigger is based on step count. Because there might be some way to just increase the step count such to... Exactly. So someone does have the danger value. That's what I was going to say, is if someone has the memory address of where that's actually triggered from, we could mess with that. You're a student at Penn State. Oh, okay. There you go, Threnin. In that case, I drive past you sometimes. But yes, if someone actually has that value sooner, we could actually modify that pretty easily. So... either way, I am actually going to get going because I've got some stuff I got to do this evening, so feel free to continue messing with that color menu while I do that, but I do want to roll my credits, so don't go anywhere yet, everyone. I want to actually run a couple of things here, because we did our regular stream today, and I want to make sure that I thank everybody that hung out and helped us out today. So first off, it does not mention my moderators because I haven't been here for a while, but S&B, thanks for hanging out, much appreciated. Thank you everyone who followed us today. Always nice to see some good people in that list. Subscribers, Rambling Geek, Rising Phoenix, Field of Greed, Sunamods, and Strife, thank you for joining the DevChatter Chatosaurus crew. Please be sure to enjoy your hype emotes and your fail and derp emotes all across Twitch, as well as those nice little eggs that you get. Today, I am going to check and see, which I should have done this before I rolled the credits, but I wasn't thinking at the time. I want to see if there's anybody that we're going to be raiding today, so don't go anywhere, because, well, there is. We're going to raid Codebase Alpha. MC Indus Mods, thank you very much for the follow, much appreciated. Glad to have you here. Strife is already enjoying those hype emotes. We are going to raid one of our mods on the channel, actually, here. This is Codebase Alpha. He's another programming streamer that's doing .NET Core stuff, and we are going to head on over there. That's actually why SNB hasn't been here for a while, is because his stream started a little while ago. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up that raid. Please do stick around for the raid. At least let's go over there and say hi and talk a little bit to SNB. SNB's the guy that runs Codebase Alpha, and give him a little bit of support. Good stream. Feel free to stick around and watch for a little bit when we get over there. So thanks everyone for hanging out. I will see you all again tomorrow. Our stream's at our usual time, which is about 3 hours before now. So take a look at your clocks. We'll be doing some more DevStreams stuff on the stream tomorrow. And take care and happy coding, everyone.